Hey there folks, my name's Harry. I am a noob or amateur Python coder. I've only been studying Python for the last 11 months. I am almost entirely self-taught, and I've been working through various manuals, various online resources, YouTube videos, tutorials, and things like that. And I thought I'd give it a go, just capturing some videos of the programs that I write, because I found a lot of videos out there that helped me, but there was always a little bit that was missing, or some of the videos were very well done and very technical, and when I went back to try and look at the code that I'd written in that, according to that tutorial, it kind of threw me off. So anyway, my idea with this video is just to create a little game, and as it is, through my thought processes, through my whole thought process, where I make mistakes and all that stuff, keep it all in, so you can see and follow along, and hopefully you can learn out of it and give me some answers, or and hopefully I can improve out of this whole endeavor. With that being said, we're going to create a memory game. I have followed one or two very fantastic tutorials. One made use of object classes, the other one made use of functions extensively. I'm not going to try and go too fancy. I'm just going to try and create this code as it comes to me through my mind. If needs be, we will go back to the coding and we will refactor the code and try and make it look pretty. But as I mentioned, I am a amateur at this. I've only been doing this for 10-11 months, and this is also a barometer for me to test on how well I've progressed over the last year. Right, so what we're going to do today is we're going to create a memory game. So basically there's two images on the screen. There's a bunch of hidden images on the screen in like a grid format, and you select two images, and if they are the same images, they stay revealed. If they're not the same, they flip back to being hidden, and then you go try and find some more matches. So it's actually like a memory matching game. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to import the Pygame module, and we are checking our screen. I'm going to import Pygame. Once I've imported Pygame, I'm going to initialize Pygame module. Right, now that I've initialized the Pygame module, I need to initialize the Pygame screen. To do that, I'm going to assign it to the variable screen is equal to Pygame.display.set mode size. Every time I get to, I forget about this. So now we just need to define some variables for my game screen. So I'm just going to the comment there, variables for game. Yeah, just leave it as that. We have the game width is going to be equal to 840. Game height is going to be equal to 640. Right. So we have game width, game height. Fantastic. Alright, I'm just going to add a little comment here. Loading the Pygame. That's an atrocious spelling. The Pygame screen. Okay. Now that we've loaded the screen, the next thing we want to do is we want to set the display caption. So, we've created the screen. Next thing we want to do is we want to create the game loop, because if I run the program now as is, it's just going to flash the game screen on TV and then it'll go away again. See? It's gone. So what we want to do is we want to create a game loop. Game loop is going to be equal to true. Right. So while game loop is equal to true, well, actually we don't need to type that out fully like that. We could just say while game loop, and the system Python reads it as game loop is equal to true. So while game loop is true, we need to pick up the exit event. So for events for event in Pygame.event dot get. Right. If event type is equal to Pygame dot quit, which is that little red button. If the little red button is clicked, we want the game to escape immediately. So we're going to change the game loop then to equal false. Right. Once that's done, we can then go down to the bottom screen and we can Pygame dot quit. Fantastic. So what's going to happen now is when I hit the play button, the game screen should pop up. What it does, Pygame window, running, and if I hit this button, it should close and end the program. It closes and it ends the program. That's fantastic. Right. Next thing we need to do is, right, let's just open that up again. So you'll notice that we still have the display caption, still says the active window says Pygame window, and there's a little icon here of a snake. And the third thing that we're going to try and tackle in this little section now is the background, which is all black. So we want to load a background image. Over here on my left hand side, I've already preloaded some images. I have a background image which we can try and open. As you can see, it's a little beach with a palm tree, a crab, a seashell, a couple of pina coladas, brandy and cokes and things like that in the background that you can't see, but we'll keep those for me, right? Anyway, and then under the folder here that I created an images folder, and inside here is all the little memory pictures that we're going to use. I got all these images off of a website called opengameart.org. I will save the link to that website in the description of this video. It's a fantastic website with quite a lot of resources. So yes, go right ahead. Go onto that ship. Go there, follow the rules, and yeah, make use of the information there. Anyway, back to our game. So we want to, where is it? There it is. So we want to load our background screen. So we're going to change the display caption, we're going to change the display icon, and we're going to change the game background. Fantastic. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go here, we're going to say Pygame.display.set caption, and we're going to call it memory game. Right. The next thing we're going to do is now we need to load the icon for the game. So we're going to call it game icon. It's going to be Python. No. It's going to be Pygame.image.load. And we don't need to change the size of these images because these images are already at 16 pixels by 16 pixels. So we want to load from the images folder the apple.png. As you can see, there's my images folder. There's the apple. Oh, I don't have a small letter. It's going to be a big letter. There we go. See there? All's good in the world. So what we've done is we've changed the display, the active window caption, and we've loaded in a little icon. No, we haven't loaded the icon. We've just loaded the icon. We haven't actually run the icon yet. To do that, we're going to go to Pygame.display.set icon. And we're going to use game icon variable. Fantastic. The next thing we're going to do now, we need to load the background. And in order to load the background, we need to load the image into the Python memory. So the first thing we'll do here is load the image, the background image into Python. Okay, so let's call it BG for background image. It's going to be equal to Pygame. With Python Pygame.image load. Background.png. Now you'll notice that the size of this image is 1600 by 1600. Our game is only 840 by 640. So we are going to need to adjust the size of this image. BG image is going to be equal to Pygame transform scale BG image, right? And the size is going to be the game width and the game height. Right, we've done that. Okay, so the next thing we need to do is we need to actually, okay, so we've loaded the background image into the game's memory. The next thing we need to do is we actually need to reveal or put that image onto the game screen. And in order to do that, we use the Pygame.lit function. And when using the Pygame.lit, we need the image and we need the image rectangle. So in order to get the image rectangle, we're going to go bg image rect for rectangle of the background image. It's going to be equal to background image dot get rect. I was interesting that. Alright, by doing that, we now have a background image and we have a background image for rectangle. The next thing we need to do now is actually put that image onto the game loop, onto the game screen, and make sure it stays there with every iteration of the game loop. To do that, we come down here to the game loop. We'll also do it right here at the top. Background image. We're going to do it right at the top because everything else we want to be loaded onto the top of the background. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go screen dot lit background image rect. Alright, so what we've done now, what should happen is we should have input. So what we should have now is we should have the game screen pop up. There should be a display caption for the active window. There should be a new game icon, and there should be a background image loaded. Right. So let's see if we break the system. We broke it. Okay, so we have the display caption and we have the game set, the icon. What we don't have is the background image. And I've just realized what we've done is if we come to here in our code, the next thing we're supposed to do is we're supposed to include Pygame.display.update. We're supposed to put that in there. And by putting that in there, everything loads the way we thought it would. The only thing missing is those pina coladas and the beers, the brandy, Coke, etc. Coffee. Great. We have the beginnings of a little memory game here. The next thing we need is we actually need those power icons to appear on the screen. So for those icons to appear on the screen, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 individual images. We're going to have to double that number, which is going to make it 20 because we're looking for matching objects. So there's going to be 20 tiles. We can have 5 columns of 4 rows across the screen. Right. So we need to stipulate where it's going to be my left margin, where does the images start, where's my right margin starts, where does my top margin, where's my bottom margin. All these wonderful things we'll get into shortly. Right, so the first thing we actually need to do is to create the list, the name list of all the items in our folder that we're going to be using in this memory game. Let's do it here. So over here we're going to say create list of memory pictures, and we're going to call it memory pictures as an empty list. So right, so now I want to scroll through each item in this list. I want to scroll through each item in this folder and add it to my memory pictures list. In order to do that, I'm going to go through the operating system, and if I want to go through the operating system, I need to import the OS module. Instead of adding each one of these items individually, I can just go through the OS module for operating system. Right, so what we're going to do now is we're going to go for item in os.list. List directory. I believe it's list directory. Let's give it a try. List directory. And it's going to be under images / images / brackets. Okay, so for item in os.list directory, let's print item and see what pops up. Ah, there we go. That's fantastic. That's actually what we want. So what you see is it's ran the program and ran through each item in the OS list and then printed each item. So there's my apple, blah, 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 blah. So we don't want it to print each item, well, we wanted to add it to the memory pictures. So we're going to go to memory pictures, append item. Now the thing is, we don't really need the .png part. So I'm going to go with split. And I'm going to split at that point, right? So if you look at the title here, everywhere in there goes through the whole title, then it's going to do a split here. At point is going to create a list. We'll create a list of 2 items, apple and then PNG. So we don't want the second part, we just want the first part, right? Correct? Understand? Follow me? If not, let's do this. Let's print the memory pictures, listing them. And let's see what gets added to that list. There you go. You see that it's just added the word apple without the .png, apple pie, bacon, cheese, chicken, cookie, eggs, fish, snake, strawberry. Right, that makes our list a little bit shorter and easier to follow. Just need a sip of coffee, give me a second. Great. So now we have our list of memory pictures, or actually we have the list of names of each of the files that we want to use, each of the images. The next thing we actually need to do is, now that we have this memory list of our files, our items, the next thing we need to do is we actually need to double that list. So for each item in that list, we need to have an additional one, a copy. The reason for that is because we are playing a memory game and we need to match up objects. If there's no duplicate objects in the list, we're not going to be able to match anything up with anything. And it will be a very boring game. So in order to do that, the next thing we need to do is we need to then go memory pictures copy. It's going to be equal to memory pictures dot copy. So we now just created a copy of the memory pictures list in this memory pictures copy. The next thing we want to do is we want to then extend our memory pictures list with the memory pictures copy. We don't want to append it because that would add it into my memory pictures list as a nested list, and that's not what we want. So we're going to go memory pictures extend, and we're going to extend it with memory pictures copy. Right? The next thing we want to do is we just want to clear the memory pictures copy list, just to get out of the way. So if I run this program again, you'll see that my memory list is going to double in size, and that it has, I should have 2 apples. There's one apple and there's the second apple. Now the last thing you'll notice, it's loaded each item into the list exactly as per the order it is sitting in my images file. Now the last thing we want to do is we want to shuffle this list. We want to randomize it so that each time you play the game, each image in the list is at a different index point. So in order to do that, we would then say random dot shuffle, and then we will shuffle the memory pictures list. Random dot shuffle. The problem now is we have a little red mark here that says no such module. Unresolved reference random. That's because we have not imported the random module. There we go, it's now imported. That's all the things there that we want. Everything's looking hunky-dory. Let's print the list. And if you look at it, my list of memory tiles is all shuffled up, which is absolutely fantastic. Great. So the next thing we want to do now is we've got a list of all the file art and the image names, but we haven't actually loaded the images into Python memory just yet. That's what we're going to address now. We're going to load each of the items into Python's memory. So in order to do that, we need to first create a command to load each of the images into Python. Sweet. So I'm going to call this mem pix. So the memory pix is going to be equal to empty list. Right? So what we're doing now is we're actually loading each of the images into the mempix list, but they get loaded into as an object. They're going to be loaded in the exact same order as the memory pictures list. So if we have the index point in the memory pictures list, that index point will be the exact same on the mempix list, which is the image objects. So that's why we're going this route. So for item in memory pictures, no, I'm going wrong there. No. For each item in, I wanted to cycle through the folder. So for it to cycle through the folder, just go for item in, no, it needs to cycle through the memory pictures list. So for item in memory pictures, so for each item in memory pictures according to the name, I want to add it to what are we going to call it? We're going to call it picture variable is equal to Pygame dot image dot load. The file name will be, okay, so we're going to put in F for formatting. It's going to be under the images folder, and we are going to item. Okay, so it's putting those items, but remember now that item doesn't have the .png included, so we need to include that point. Otherwise, it won't pick up anything. So for item in memory pictures, picture is going to be equal to pygame.image.load if images item png. The next thing we need to do then is we need to actually give each one of those pictures a rectangle. We'll get the rectangle of each of those pictures that's put in and also include that into a list. So we're going to create a mempix rectangle list. Right. So we've received the picture. Next we need to do is we're going to call it picture rect is equal to picture dot get rect. I love saying that. It always sounds like get rect. Alright. Right. Okay, so actually what we've done now over there is we haven't actually included it to the game list yet, so we need to still say mempics.append picture, and we still need to add the rectangle to mempics rect.append. Right, picture rect. So if you're not sure exactly what it is I've done, we can just go here and we can print the mempics list as well as the mempics rect list. Fantastic. So we're going to close this. So what we have here is now, these are our original memory pictures listing. Right, all 20 of them. Right below that is our mempics, so the actual images loaded into the game. Both on Pygame memory, there's the object surface, brackets 16 by 16 by 24, SW, surfaces. So now each of those images are loaded in the same order as my list, my memory pictures list above. Then below that we have our actual rectangles created for each one of those images. You'll notice a problem here because as you go through, you'll see there's my rectangle. Now, when you look at this, the rectangle of the image, so the rectangle of the image object loaded goes in my x coordinate, my y coordinate, my size, which is 16 by 16. It's a bit small, and it's in the wrong coordinates because every single item is now going to be loaded at the top left of my screen. We don't want that. That's the next thing we're going to tackle now, is we need to adjust. Firstly, we need to adjust the size of each image. We can do that right here instead of going anywhere else. So here we're going to go Pygame. Say picture is equal to Pygame.transform scale. And the scale, we want it to be 128 by 128. Now, we don't really want to hard code it like that. That's a bit of a problem. Also, there's something else we want to use the size of the images for. So I want to come back up to the top here and I want to create a variable rather. What do we call it? Picture size? No. Let's call it pic size. It's equal to 128. Over here, we just replace that with pic size and pic size. Okay, so now we've just adjusted the size of the pic, so we've adjusted the 16. The 16 should end up being the 128 and 128. The next item we want to tackle is the x and y coordinates. So we need to tackle the x and y coordinates of each one of these images. So where it's going to display on the Pygame screen. In order to do that, I'm going to okay. So in order to do that, we need to figure out where do we want our left margin to start and our right margin to start. And in between that is going to be our 6 game calls. So up here in my game variables for the game, I'll prepare a few variables now for this section. I'm going to create game columns. That's going to be equal to 5. And game rows, which is going to be equal to 4. So we have, because we have 20 images, it's 5 by 4. Or 4 by 5, your choice. Okay. The next thing I want to add is a variable for my left margin, which is going to be equal to a Okay, so my left margin, so my left margin is equal to my game width, which is 840, minus my pick size, plus 10. What that 10 is, we call it padding, so it's the image distance between the distance between each little image. So I'm just going to call it a variable name, padding, and I'll call it 10. So there we'll say plus padding. Okay, so my game width minus my pick size plus padding. So that's the 128 plus 10, so that's 138. Multiplied by the number of columns, which is 5, sorry. Okay, so where are we? What have we just created? A game width, which is 840, minus, okay, so my game columns is 5 times 138. 5 times 138, that's 5 times 138. 5 times 138, 690, minus 840. 150 is my margin gaps from each side. I usually divide that by 2, it'll give me 75. So that and divide by 2. Is that right? There's brackets. Okay, divide by 2. Right. Okay, so that's my left margin. My right margin is equal to my left margin because I've divided this whole equation here by 2. Okay, the next thing I do is top margin. I just need to put in the exact same formula, except using game height minus pick size plus padding multiplied by game rows, which in this case is 4, divide that by 2. So my bottom margin is now equal to my top margin. Okay, so basically we've now defined the borders of my game window. The borders of the game window, which is fantastic. So now what we need to do is we actually need to load these images onto the game screen. And in order to do that, we are going to need to blit each of the items onto the game screen. Oh wait, before we can do that, we need to find the location, the X and Y coordinates of each of these images. Okay, so here we've loaded each of the images into the Python memory. The next thing we need to do is we need to actually adjust or amend the coordinates of each of the image object rectangles. Right. To do that, we're going to say for item in mempix rect. So for each item in mempix rect, we're going to say item 0, index 0, which is now, we're now referring to that x coordinate, is going to be equal to let me have this right. So it's going to start at the left margin plus brackets pick size plus padding, right? So that's my, so you have so far, let me just do this next to it and comment it so it's easier for myself. So then I'm going to go up, go there, so equals, that's going to be 75 plus pick size, which is 128, plus 10. 75 plus 128 plus 10. Hang on, I've made a burger up here. But anyway, let's carry on and then we'll come back and fix it. Okay, now I need that to multiplied by, this is where I made the mistake. Okay, let's go back, let's take a step back. So here, where I say for item in main picture X, so that's not picking up each individual, this entire thing. And that's where I'm going wrong. I would rather refer to each number. So I'm going to change this for loop to say range len mempix rect. Right? That way now, when I'm referring to my item 1, so I'm going to go here in mempix rect item, which is my item number, and then 0, which is my x coordinate. So what it's doing now is it's going through, this item now becomes a digit. So I'm going to change this to I. For I in range, index number, so mempix rect index number 0 is equal to left margin plus pick size, blah, 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 multiplied by I and the modulus function game columns. That sounds like a lot of maths and all that stuff, but all I'm basically doing now is here. So this is what's going to happen here. So I'm going to say times, then I, the 5. Right. So if we want to see what this means, when we print the mempix rect, I should have affected each one of my x coordinates on my list. Let's have a look. Let's see if it works. Nope, we forgot something. Line 42. Picture is equal to pygame.transform.scale. Argument 1 must be pygame.surface. Oh, of course. Picture. That must be in brackets, I think. Should run now. Yeah, no problems. Fantastic. Okay, so the game screen runs. Obviously, whatever the problem might be, we just overlooked it. Okay, so now if we go through my list here, there's my names list of each item on my list. There's 20 of them. There's each of the image objects. As you can see now, the image object size has changed. It's now 128 by 128. Right, and then my third list, which is my rectangles of each of my images, starts at 75x, which is my left margin. Then the next image is moved on by 128 pixels plus 10 for padding. Then the next one's moved on, it's moved on, it's moved on, and then it resets back to 75, that's fantastic. That's what I was hoping for. The next thing I need to tackle is the y coordinate. I need to change the y coordinate. Now, typically, I would do it right here, right below this variable here, and I would just say mempix rect square bracket I, square bracket index 1 is then equal to top margin, blah, 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 blah. Let's just do that again. So we're going to say mempix rect I 1 going to be equal to top margin plus as plus heading multiplied by I percentage game rows. Right. If we run this again, I now have, we can close that, I now have my rectangles 75, top margin 44, 2 on 3, 182. Great. So now we've loaded the Pygame images into memory. We've loaded the rectangles for each of those images into memory as well. The last thing I need to do though is I need to create a list of revealed images. Which images are revealed and which images are not revealed. So in order to do that, I just need to create a list of revealed pictures. So to do that, I'm just going to do it here. So for actually, I need to create a whole new list for it. I can just do a chart of this for loop already as well. So for I arrange index rect, I just need to create a new list first. So there, right about that one, I'm just going to create hidden images equal to a list of 0. So all I want to do here is I'm going to go for I arrange link blah 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 blah. So hidden images dot append false. Okay, why false? Because, well, we want the image when we click on it to turn to true, which means it'll be a revealed image. So for now, all we're doing right now is we're creating a list of falses. Print hidden images. Right? If I hit the play button, there we go. So all I have now is my list of my image names, my list of images, objects, my list of the rectangles of each image object, and my list of falses, all 20. Great. Next thing I need to do is I actually need to take each one of these images and actually upload them to the game screen. That we'll do over here, I think. Or we can just do it here, just below the loading the background image. Alright. For pattern in memory pictures. Right? Actually, we need the index image. So for I in range in memory pictures. Right. So for I in range in memory pictures, we are going to flip this all to screen. Screen lit. Mem pix index I mem pix rect index I. So what that should do is that should be putting each one of these images up onto the screen. Let's just quickly test. And there they are. Every single image has just been loaded to the screen, game screen. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. There's all my images loaded to the screen. Isn't that fantastic? There's one problem though. This game's a little bit too easy. I can see where all the images are. Would you agree? That's where it comes into. We created this list of hidden images, all false, a bunch of falses. Here they are there. Right. So here where I've loaded each image onto the screen, I want to do a conditional, an if statement. I want to say if hidden images I, index of I, is equal to false, right, right? No, is equal to true, right? Then it must display this image. Otherwise, it should display Pygame dot draw dot rect. The surface will be to the screen. Oh, I need to put a color. Should we define a color? Let's define a color quickly. Alright, so we go up to the top here. My variables for the game, yeah, white is equal to 255 by 255 by 255. So let's go back down here, there, white, right? Now I need to set the X and Y positions of this rectangle. Now, I already have the X and Y position of these rectangles. I want to cover the images. It's already loaded perfectly, so I'm just going to use the positions of each of those image rectangles. So I'm going to go to mem x rect. That's the list according to the I index, and I'm going to use the 0 index of that, which is my x coordinate on that item. And x rect I, and then the y coordinate. And for my size, I'm just going to go for pick size and pick size. Okay, so ideally what we have just done is when we run up the game and we hit the game loop, it's going to load my background image, then it's going to go through my list of memory pictures in terms of digits. So digit 0, I 0. So if hidden images index 0, which is the very first item, is going to be that one. So if that is true, which it's not, it's going to then draw a rectangle for me over that image. That's what we're hoping for. Let's see. And that's what we have. So if you want to test what we've just done here, let's go to the top here. So here we've created a list of images. I'm just going to go into my hidden images list, and I'm going to pick a random one. Let's say number 7. And that one I'm going to say is true. Okay. If I run this program again, number 7 is going to be that one. Now the reason why it's that one is because the way I've loaded my y coordinates is here's my image number 1, x coordinate, right? Y coordinate. My x coordinate number 2 goes over one column, but my y coordinate also changes. So the item number 2 in my list is actually this one. Item number 3 in my list is this one. Item number 4 is this one. Item number 5 is this one. Item number 6 is, I believe it's this one. Item number 7 is this one. Anyway, it's 0, 1, 2, 3. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, or something like that. Anyway, so there we see it's working. Okay, so we don't need that one open. We've got that going. So now we have a list of images and they are hidden. Fantastic. What's the next thing we need to do? Now we have the images on the screen. They are all hidden. We now need to actually interact with those images. So when we interact with those images, we are going to be using our mouse input. So we come down here. Okay. Over here we're going to go with if event dot type is equal to Pygame dot mouse button down and event dot button is equal to 1. Right? Event dot button is equal to 1, if I have it correct. So I can remember that properly. Mouse button down, event. Okay, cool. Right, so if event.type is equal to Pygame mouse button down and event button is equal to 1, meaning if the event button is my left mouse button, right. Once we've done that, we now need to pick up or detect the X and Y coordinate, the position of my mouse. And if it's actually within that, well, let's do this. Print event pause. Okay, so now it should print every time I click the mouse in the game, on the screen, doesn't matter. So you see here, if I click there, I should get a coordinates. There's my 4062. See that? If I click there, 154 by 246. If I click there, 686528. If I click there, it's picking up the position of my mouse when I click. That's fantastic. Now what we want to do is we want it to pick up if we've clicked on each one of those rectangles. So in order to do that, we're going to say for item in hidden images, no, hidden images, that's not going to help us. We need the actual rectangles. So for item, if it's colliding with the rectangle, so for item in mem pix rect, so for item in mem pix rect, right? If item dot collide point, right? Event pause. So what we've now just said is for item in mem pix rect. So for each item in my objects list, my rectangles list, if that point collides with my function, Pygame function, if it collides with my mouse X and Y coordinates, it should then, firstly, it should find the index point of that click in my mempix rect. So to do that, we're going to go with we're going to assign it to something. Let's call it selection 1 is going to equal to selection 1 is going to equal to it's that index point that I need. So we're going to go to mem pix rect dot index item. Is that correct? Print selection 1. Let's just have a look at what's going on here. So it's running. We're going to click there. So you are clicking off the tiles. Nothing happens if I click this point. It did work. See that? It's printed my index 0. If I click this one, it's going to be index 1, index 2, index 3, and then 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Okay, so obviously now it's printing my selection 1. So selection 1 then becomes my first selection point. So I'll save the index number. Why do I save the index number? I need the index number to be able to find in my hidden images list. At which point, which index number do we need to actually switch over to true to reveal the image? So selection 1. Right. So once we've got that, we're going to go now to my hidden images list. Selection 1. Right. just like that, is now equal to true. If you want to see what this means, here's my list. If I click that one, it shows me what pictures inside there. That's what we want. That's what we want. That's fantastic. That's absolutely fantastic. Great. So now we've got my first selection point. The problem is with this game is we need two selections, and once either the two selections match, and the images must stay revealed, or we have two selections, and if they don't match, both images must then flip to being hidden again. So in order to do that, we already have selection 1. We need a second selection. Okay, so I'm going to come back up to the top here. On my game variables over here. I'm going to create a selection 1 option, and that's going to equal to 1. I can't put it into 0 because 0 is an index point in Python. So in lists. So selection 1 and selection 2 is equal to 9 and 9. So once we've gone through and we click on the button, it changes my selection 1 to that. So the first thing I need to do in this is if items are clubbed. Okay, so the first thing is if selection 1 does not equal none, right? So if it doesn't equal none, which means that selection 1 has already been used, or the variable has already been assigned, we want selection 2 to then become whatever this item is. Else selection 1 then becomes index rect dot index item. Alright, and the hidden images selection 1 is equal to true. Alright, so what that means is I should be able to click that one and click on that one, click that one, nothing's really changed really. The only thing that's changed now is the fact that we just have this, it's the variable selection 1 and selection 2 is being changed, but they're not being cleared, so it's not really helping us too much. Okay. Now we need to add a check to see that if selection 1 and 2 match or don't match. That's what we need to add now. Alright. So for image in here. So if, firstly, if selection 1 is equal to none, or selection 2 is equal to none. Oh wait. Does not equal 1. Or selection 2 does not equal 1. No, I don't think we can go with or. I think it has to be and. We're going to go with and. Because selection 2 has to be for this check to actually work. So if selection 1 does not equal none and selection 2 does not equal none, then we can actually do this check. If selection 1 is equal to selection 2, hang on, what am I comparing here? I'm just comparing two digits, they're never going to be equal. That's not what we're looking for. We actually need to be looking for so what I can do now is I can actually use my memory pictures list. So if memory pictures index point selection 1 is equal to my memory pictures selection 2. Okay. Now what we're doing is we're taking my list of, wait, that's a spelling mistake there. Now what we're doing is we're taking my list of memory pictures, this chicken, cheese, cookie, chicken, blah, blah, blah. My index point selection 1, right, which could be this 0, chicken, is then equal to selection 2, which could be 3, so 0, 1, 2, 3. Oh, and they equal. Well, if they equal, that's fantastic. The only thing we need to do then is clear selection 1. Selection 2 equals none. Doesn't that work? Can you do that? I think so. Else, right? Okay. So if that's not true, okay. So if they don't match, right? We then need to go. Well, let's just let them hang around for a little bit. Pygame dot wait. Let's make it 1 second because why not? We're generous. Okay, then the next thing we need to do is we need to go to hidden images, selection 1, and turn that back to false. Then we go to hidden images, selection 2, and we flip that back to false as well. And then we say selection 1, selection 2 is now equal to none again. Okay, so if I run this, I click on that one, the apple, I click on that one. Right. Oh, cannot unpack non-actual 994. None. Should work now. Hang on. So if I click on that one, I click on that one. Okay, so it obviously clears back the image, but the problem is it doesn't update this picture. I need to run the display update somewhere. I think I can run it here. Pygame.display.update. It should work now. Hang on. That one. Nope, still not. Still not. It's still not happening. Hang on. I should actually be running it here, I think. Display.update. If I have it correct. Yep. Nope, still not. Why do I always run into this? Why does this always become a problem with me? See, this code here to run the images runs before my option to select the items. I think this should be, this actually should rather be below this, but before that. Alright, just hear me out. Right, because we click that one, and we click that one, and no, still nothing. Still nothing. That one, still nothing. So we take that out. That's obviously not it. Selection one. Go to true. Okay, so that works fine. Then we do the next click. So it runs all the way down. Then we do the second click. Alright. So the selection one is not equal to none anymore. So selection two is then equal to game picture. Okay. Hidden images selection two is then equal to true. 1, 3, 4. Every time, why does this become a problem? Every time I can't remember what to do here. Sorry, just give me a second just to think this out quickly. It's not updating my screen. Why is it not updating the screen? So the game is not being updated with the second image tabbed. So here, print edit images list, right? Same with this one, print images list, right? So as we go through, if I click on that one, it prints my list. Okay, true, false, false. Now print that one. There's the second true there, right? But it does not update the screen. Why doesn't it update my screen? So what's it here? It's already set my list as true. Okay. Then it goes down here. It says for I in range. Wait. If we do it here. Okay. Update. Do it there. That one. That one. Oh, you know, really? Come on, guys. Okay. I'm not going to say too much about that. So once we've gone through this check here, then it does this check to make sure we've loaded and we've changed the list of my items to true. So my hidden images is a change in my hidden images list from false to true. It then reruns through each of the images, which should be showing images and which should be showing rectangles, and then we run the display update because it has to run before this goes. Otherwise, it doesn't redraw the rectangles before it has a chance to actually remove these rectangles. Great. I'm going to leave it like that now. So if we run the program, we have our items. So if I select that one, it's a strawberry. I need another strawberry, steak, chicken, apple, cookie, milk tart, fish, chicken. Where's my chicken? I saw chicken just now. chicken. See how they stay, which is perfect. We want it to stay like that. Then we go cheese. There's milk tart, milk tart, milk tart, milk tart, milk tart. Fantastic. Next one is cookie. There's a cookie is somewhere. There's a cookie. There it is. Cookie, cookie. Fantastic. Eggs, bacon, cheese. I saw cheese somewhere. No, we saw cheese. There's cheese. Cheese, cheese. Eggs. Eggs were there. Strawberry, strawberry. Bacon, bacon. Fish, fish. Apple, apple. Steak, steak. Fantastic. Okay, so we've essentially created the game. We've put in the checks to check if the items are revealed or not. I'm just going to remove this print hidden images list and print this. Remove those two now. They're no longer necessary. There is one thing we do need to check though, is the what was it? What was it that we wanted to check now? Oh yes, we did have an issue here. So if you open these, okay, there's chicken. So those two are not true. But now what happens is if I click that chicken and I click this tile, they both flip back. Now we don't want that to happen. That should not happen, but it does. And we're quickly going to fix that little bug. It's going to be right over here. Okay. So if item.collide.pos. Okay, so here we're going to add a little if statement to say if, no, take off caps, if in hidden images men pix rect dot index, okay, if that item is already equal to true, no, does not equal true, then you can do this bit of code. Only then. Alright. So that should prevent that little bug we experienced. So if we click on that, no, what happened now? Index expected at least one argument, got 0. Index. What line? Line 74. What's wrong with my argument? Oopsie. 8. That item. Chicken, steak, chicken, chicken. Alright. The problem was is if I click this item image and I clicked another image, then they would both flip back. So if I click chicken and I click another image, nothing happens. I click another image. Oh, well, that doesn't help. So if I click that item and that item and that item, no, only those two. So clicking here doesn't actually give me a result, which is fantastic. There, there. Oh, there was an apple. What's that apple? Strawberry. Oh, what luck. Fish, fish. Oh, there's steak, steak. Cookie, cookie. Eggs, cheese. Eggs, eggs. Cheese, cheese. Nope, no such luck. Cheese, cheese. Bacon, bacon. Right, that's fantastic. Now we just need to put in a little check to see that if we've won the game and then reset to the beginning. Okay, so now to do that. So obviously now we've reached this point. All the images in the hidden images list are now true. So what we need to do now is start over. Dish, 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 dish. All right. Now we need to check to see if winning the game. If, no. Okay, so in my hidden images list is a bunch of Boolean values. 0 for false, 1 for true. Right. So therefore I can do this little cheat. So for 9 number in range length hidden images, right? So all when variables can be set to when is equal to 1, right? So for my number in range length images, when is multiplied equal to number. No, hidden images number. So if it's a false, it will be a 0. So my win is a number 1. So 1 times 0 is 0. So if there's any falses within that list, my win variable is going to turn 0. Okay. So I've done that check. Once I've done that little loop, I can say if win is equal to 1. Check if win is equal to 1. I want you then to screen dot fill black. So bring it up here, create another color variable. We call it black is equal to 0, 0, 0. Screen fill black. Game width. Game height. But we need to give an X and Y coordinate. 0, 0. First one up. Okay. So what happens with the game if we hit that win point? So let's quickly try and win the game quickly. That one. Let's chicken and apple. Chicken. Fishy. All the bacon. With bacon. I saw bacon. Right there was the strawberry cheese. Fish. Oh, eggs. Cheese. Where's the cheese now? Anyway, that one. Cookie and apple. Cheese and that one. Oh, dish. Yeah, it's not supposed to happen. Okay, so what it's trying to do, okay, so it obviously screen fills black. Once we screen fill black, we then want to reset all of our lists back to 0. So we want to then dish. Restart the game basically. So how do we restart the game? Well, the first thing we need to do is for item in hidden images, for each item in hidden images, range length hidden images. images. Hidden images item then going to be equal to false. Okay. The next thing we need to do, so that'll reset the game. So that basically resets the game already. However, all the images are still in the exact same spot, so that doesn't help us at all. We then need to reshuffle the bloody memory picks, the rectangle, all of that. So we need to reshuffle the images. So how do we reshuffle the images? You see, this is where the function would come into play, because if you used a function, then this would work. I'll tell you what we're going to do, because we're not going to use a function right now, because I'm not really in the mood to take it further. I'm actually going to put in, I'm going to cheat now, I'm putting a break message, which means it's going to break my game loop, exit the game, and all will be well in the world. So we don't actually need that or that. Yes, I know, I'm cheating here. I'm tired, okay, I'm tired. Break. No, break's the better way. Let's not go with break, let's go with game loop is equal to false. Is equal to false. No, not insert. Delete. Okay, so if we run the game now, chicken, fish, cookie, strawberry, steak, fish. Where's the fish? The fish was there. Nope, there was the fish. Cookie, apple, eggs, chicken, apple, strawberries, dot, eggs. Did you see eggs? There we go. Cheese, and steak, milk tart, and milk tart, bacon, strawberry, and the game is over. Happy days. Fun times. That is the end of the video. It's late. I'm going to bed. I'm tired. I hope you guys enjoyed. There's plenty of other things I could have done. I'll have to come back to this and refactor it. You see, the thing is, if I convert this section into a function, when we hit the end here, at this point I can just recall that function and reset the game in that sentence. Yeah, like I said, this coding could be refactored, it could be revisited, it should be revisited, it should be written more neat and tidy. But no, right now I'm going to bed. Thanks for sticking around this long. If you enjoyed the video, I would really appreciate it if you gave me a like, a comment, give me some tips. I'd appreciate that even more. Like I said, I'm an amateur, I'm a noob. I didn't use any functions in this project, and I didn't use any objects or scopes, although the tutorials I went through did take me through a lot of function. The one method took me through a lot of functions, and the other tutorial I went through took me through some object coding. I enjoyed both of those thoroughly, but I wanted to try and do this on my own, with my own little, out of my mind. And I think I did alright. Anyway, guys, thanks a lot. Cheers.